Alrighty, this is a light activity where the city of Ontario is stalking a woman and a woman's genitalia, monitoring, which is a sex offense. In other words, breaking this light activity down and the ongoing audible activity that's sounding specifically in the bathroom. The sex offender that's in relevant position is license 5WB715 amongst the demons, including Linda Reyes, engaging in what is as far as a woman stalking another woman and being concerned with her vagina. That homosexual, sexually violent pattern of conduct is also attributed to Linda Reyes, the gang stalker under the fake sun at 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:49 in the morning. This is the absence of the sun. This is in the shade. The bathroom is in here where the demons are stalking with noise. This is demonic and it's also sexually violent. And when the moment that they know that my vagina is exposed is where amplified noise is happening in the bathroom along the ceiling. And this is the apartment where bathroom monitoring amongst a population. A whole bunch of sex offenders that are currently hiding in position. You've seen them pacing in the parking lot, sounding car alarms, pacing in amplified plane activity, helicopter activity, the fire department, the police department, the entity that is stalking in the sky space, which is maintaining surveillance all around my vagina. All right. Those are the sex offenders that are going to federal prison in units 33 through 64. We're in the shade. There is no explanation for what is impossible light activity. That's me holding up my cell phone. That's a supernatural occurrence. That's relevant to monitoring. When you're monitoring what is the genitalia, you're not just a stalker, you're a sex offender who's interested in the genitalia of the person who you're stalking. And you're also a psychopath engaging in the demented behavior of stalking someone with noise, especially when you know that they're naked. Okay, license 982Z740, Tracy Banks. It's her pattern of conduct. This is her stalking with light. This is her stalking with noise, and being physically absent from being in front of my camera is not a removal from that pattern of conduct. And as you also know, the demons are stalking under a fake sun that's remaining over this apartment building. The sex offender stalking in planes, Alan D. WAPNER, is interested in monitoring a woman's vagina. That's why the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking me inside of this apartment, spending millions of dollars and using the airlines associated with the Ontario International Airport. And it's the same thing that you know very well with Mike Lorenz, a sex offender, a demon, monitoring my vagina. That's why they're engaged in what is gang stalking under the 10:54 a.m. fake sun, the 8:49 a.m. fake sun, the 5:40 p.m. fake sun, none of which is an explanation for this light that's manifesting from the shade into the depths of a dark living room, onto the wall, upright, apart from me. This is called light activity, where the sex offense of bathroom monitoring is underway. Linda Reyes, Daryl J. Carter's documented sexual violence via AVANATH Capital Management's employees, those that are remaining in relevant position and who are monitoring my vagina as it's exposed, as I'm taking my clothes off, as I'm in the private space, as I'm engaged in what is private activity, which a government has no legitimate interest in keeping under surveillance. Why is a police department interested in me putting my panties down? That answer is something that can be addressed, but the bigger issue is that that police department is going to be disbanded. That is the Ontario Police Department. Alan D. Wapner's Ontario International Airport, an airport that's not actually needed when they're spending millions of dollars on keeping my vagina under surveillance in a bathroom at an apartment complex under a fake sun amongst engineered light, where elderly age sex offenders are residing and stalking as a way of life. They're all going to prison inside of this building. There are specifically units 49 through 64 and the adjacent building where they're sharing the sidewalk, where all they're doing is pacing. And they're monitoring right now while in engineered light, my shadow is appearing on the living room wall. That's a supernatural occurrence. And it's also with regard to what is shared ongoing activity creation at the moments that the sex offenders are, she's pulling her panties down. Let's surround with audible activity. Those are what the sex offenders do when they're monitoring. And monitoring is pursuant to stalking. Stalking, which is occurring with the people of the state and a government, is being documented while I'm in the bathroom, subject to the psychological torture of a sexual nature, and also what is monitoring, which is the perpetual sex sex offense. It is the removal of the police department engaging in that. That same police department engaged in a pattern of kidnapping as well. You're not going to be a sex offending kidnapper and remain as an actual police department. It is the demise of the career in law enforcement of Mike Lorenz and everyone else associated with the Ontario Police Department. It is currently 5:43 p.m. where you're seeing that impossible light activity inside of this apartment where the entity is keeping a fake sun over this building for 11 hours. And that's the significance of impossible light activity inside of this apartment. Everything that I'm doing is being monitored. And what is relevant is that even at the moment that I'm taking my panties down in a bathroom, it's public information. That perpetual sex offense is why the people of the state are going to prison. And it includes those that are working for AVANATH, Linda Reyes, and every other employee. Already documented gang stalking, by the way, on video via podcast. The entity is engaging in public corruption with the city of Ontario and doing so with impunity, and also violent sex offenders who have an appetite for their images to be shown and to be identified specifically by age and location and address as a sex offender. And I'll provide those screenshots too. It'll be uploaded to the Google Drive. This is Woodside Senior Apartments engaging in the sex offense as a community. This is public corruption speaking to sex offenders that are going to be appropriately labeled. And this is the prosecution of the state for federal group stalking and monitoring. Gang stalking in bathrooms is what the government is doing throughout this country. Monitoring you, keeping you under surveillance. You, your children, your spouses, unbeknownst to you. And I'm being gang stalked and I'm exposing what the surveillance that you're subject to. And I'm going to prosecute for the demons keeping my vagina under surveillance. This is P.O.C. It is 5:44 p.m. where that light activity is coexisting with noise that surrounds me as I move inside of the apartment, where you're looking at what is light that sits on the same living room wall where it was at 6:20 in the morning. That's where the entity is monitoring my vagina. That's the sex offense that the government's going to be prosecuted for. This is P.O.C.